You are listening to Unleash Now, the enterprise tech podcast generated entirely by AI. In this episode, we unleash 8Squad's recent white paper on how technology can help government agencies improve services in mission delivery.
All right, so think about the last time you had to renew your driver's license. It's not exactly a fun time, is it? Now imagine multiplying that feeling by 1,000. And you start to get close to what millions of Australians are going through right now. We're talking massive government service backlogs, essential services, healthcare, financial support, all stuck in this bureaucratic limbo. And it's so frustrating for everyone. And frankly, it's just not acceptable.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here is we always hear about these backlogs in terms of efficiency. But there's a massive human cost that often gets overlooked. So we're going to do a deep dive into that today. Really explore the impact these delays have on people who are often already dealing with so much.
Exactly. And to help us navigate this, we've got 8Squad's white paper, From Backlog to Front Foot. They're a digital consulting firm, and they've been making some serious waves with their tech-driven solutions. In fact, their CEO, Frank Cooley, was just on Sky News Australia talking about how these backlogs are impacting the most vulnerable Australians, aged care, the ndis, veterans, and the list goes on.
And it's not just these specific areas. It's a systemic issue that we're seeing across the board. Even Senator Katie Gallagher, the Minister for Finance, has been sounding the alarm about the immense strain on government services, everything from immigration to Services Australia.
So it's like this giant traffic jam. But instead of cars, it's people's lives that are stuck. And to really get a sense of the human impact, we're going to zoom in on the Department of Veterans Affairs, the DVA, as a case study. Get this, they're receiving something like 8,000 claims every month, and the average processing time, a whopping 306 days, almost a year.
Now, so you imagine the stress of waiting that long for support? 8Squad actually interviewed clinical psychologist Dr. Simon Kinsella for the white paper, and he talks about how this kind of procedural delay actually causes real psychological harm. It's not just an inconvenience. It's stress, anxiety, exhaustion, this feeling of being completely dehumanized by the system.
It's heartbreaking, and it really highlights how urgent it is that we find some solutions. So let's switch gears and talk about what 8Squad proposes in their white paper. They've actually mapped out the entire DVA claims journey, kind of like a road trip, highlighting the smooth stretches and, more importantly, the rough patches where things tend to get bogged down.
Yeah, it's a super insightful approach because it breaks down this complex system into more manageable pieces. And what they found is that the process can essentially be divided into two major phases: claim submission and claim processing. Each phase has its own unique challenges, but both could benefit enormously from some smart digital interventions.
All right, so let's unpack those phases one by one. First up, claim submission. I think anyone who's ever filled out a complex government form can relate to that feeling of being lost in a sea of jargon and confusing instructions. You're never quite sure if you've done everything right or if you've accidentally missed some vital bit of information.
Right, and 8Squad highlights that this is often where things start to go wrong. Think about those online experiences we're all used to in the private sector, like clear eligibility information up front, user-friendly forms that are actually easy to navigate, even automated checks to make sure you haven't missed anything crucial. These are the kinds of simple, intuitive tools that could make a world of difference for people navigating the DVA claims process.
And they even have these specific examples in their white paper, like their claim journey flowchart. For example, instead of making people hunt down eligibility criteria on a separate website, why not just integrate that information directly into the application process?
Exactly. And imagine if the system could flag any missing documents or incomplete fields as you're filling out the form. It would save everyone so much time and hassle down the line.
Okay, so that's claim submission. Rough terrain, but definitely some opportunities for a smoother ride. Now let's move on to claim processing. This is where things often get really murky for the claimant. They've submitted their application, and then it basically vanishes into this bureaucratic black hole. They have no idea what's happening, how long it's going to take, or who to even contact for updates. It's enough to make anyone pull their hair out.
And that lack of transparency just adds a whole other layer of stress to an already difficult situation. 8Squad argues that this is where digital tools could really shine, by bringing some much-needed transparency to the process, both for the claimant and the DVA staff. They talk about things like automated status updates, so people aren't left wondering, where's my claim at?
It's such a simple concept, but it would make such a huge difference. It's like being able to track your package delivery. You might still have to wait, but at least you know it's on its way and when to expect it. That peace of mind is so valuable.
Absolutely. And beyond just tracking, Imagine a system that could use AI to analyze thousands of DVA claims, identifying common reasons for those delays. That would allow the DVA to address bottlenecks proactively.
Wait, so the AI could actually predict which claims might need urgent attention? That's incredible. And what about all the back and forth between the DVA and other agencies like Defense or Centralink? I imagine that adds a lot of time to the process as well.
You're absolutely right. The white paper suggests a secure digital system that allows for seamless information sharing between these different agencies, eliminating a lot of that manual work that currently slows things down.
So we're talking about a win-win here. Faster processing times for claimants and a less overwhelming workload for DVA staff. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
It would definitely be a step in the right direction. But it's important to remember this isn't about replacing human compassion or judgment. It's about giving the people who work in these systems the tools and support they need to be more efficient and effective.
Okay, so we've established that technology has a huge role to play in tackling these backlogs. But let's get into the specifics. What kind of tech are we talking about here?
That's a great question. And it's one that 8Squad addresses head-on in their white paper. This isn't about some futuristic vision of robots taking over government departments. It's about using technology strategically to empower the people who are already working tirelessly to serve the public. Think of it as giving them superpowers.
I like that. Superpowers. So what kind of superpowers are we talking about?
Well, 8Squad highlights a few key strategies that government agencies can adopt to really leverage technology effectively. One of the most fascinating is the concept of predictive citizen experiences.
Oh, I have to admit that one sounds a little bit like science fiction to me. What does predictive citizen experiences actually mean in practice?
Well, think about how companies like Amazon use data to anticipate your needs and preferences. They recommend products you might like, suggest items you might need to reorder, even predict when you might want to watch a particular movie.
Okay, I'm starting to see where you're going with this. So you're saying government agencies could use data in a similar way to proactively anticipate the needs of citizens and kind of guide them through relevant processes.
Exactly. Imagine if instead of you having to remember when your driver's license needs renewing, the system proactively sent you a reminder and a pre-filled form. Or if you've recently had a child, the government could automatically guide you through the process of applying for parental leave benefits. It's about making the system work for the people rather than the other way around.
That would be amazing. It would take so much of the guesswork and stress out of interacting with government services. But I imagine accessibility is a huge concern here. We need to make sure that everyone, regardless of their technical skills or physical abilities, can benefit from these digital solutions.
You're absolutely right. And that's why 8Squad emphasizes equity and accessibility as a core principle.
Okay, so what does that look like in practice?
It means designing digital services that work for everyone, whether they're using a smartphone, a computer, or even just a phone call. Think easy-to-read websites, mobile-friendly options, even support over the phone for those who aren't comfortable online. It's about making sure that no one gets left behind in this digital transformation.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about building the technology, it's about making sure that it's accessible and inclusive for everyone. But I'm also curious about the data security aspects of all this. Are we talking about storing sensitive government information on servers overseas?
That's a valid concern, and it's one that 8Squad addresses directly. They strongly advocate for a local focus when it comes to both data security and the economic development.
Okay, tell me more about this local focus. What does it entail?
It means ensuring that all government data is stored securely right here in Australia, not on servers in other countries. It's about protecting sensitive information and maintaining national sovereignty over our data.
That makes sense. And the local focus also extends to supporting Australian businesses, right?
It's exactly. 8Squad believes that the government should prioritize working with Australian tech companies and creating jobs in the local tech sector. This not only strengthens our economy, but also ensures that the solutions being developed are tailored to the specific needs of the Australian people.
So we're talking about a win-win situation here, improving government services while also boosting the Australian economy. It's a compelling vision. But now I'm really curious about the specific tools that 8Squad proposes. You mentioned AI earlier. What role does it play in all this?
Well, AI has the potential to be a real game changer in terms of streamlining government processes and making them more efficient. 8Squad talks about using AI for tasks like summarizing cases, spotting patterns that might indicate potential issues, and identifying risk factors that might require urgent attention.
So instead of having caseworkers sifting through mountains of paperwork, an AI could do the heavy lifting, freeing up those workers to focus on more complex tasks that require human judgment and empathy.
Exactly. And AI isn't just about replacing human workers. It's about augmenting their capabilities
Uh-huh.
and allowing them to work more effectively. For example, AI could be used to automate routine tasks like sending out notifications or scheduling appointments, freeing up staff to spend more time on tasks that require a human touch.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about using technology strategically to improve the system for everyone involved. But I imagine there are some challenges involved in implementing these kinds of solutions, right? It's not just about slapping some AI on top of an existing broken process, is it?
You're absolutely right. 8Squad is very clear that technology is not a magic bullet. It's about using it thoughtfully to redesign systems from the ground up, creating processes that are both efficient and humane.
Okay, so it's not just about the tech itself, it's about how we use it. But I have to ask, does all of this actually work in practice? Are there real-world examples of these kinds of digital solutions being implemented successfully in government?
That's the million-dollar question, Ray. And it's one that 8Squad answers with a resounding yes. They actually showcase 3 real-world case studies in their white paper, demonstrating how these digital solutions have been implemented with impressive results in various sectors.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me about these case studies. What kind of results are we talking about?
Well, in one case study, they implemented a contact center solution that led to a 70% automation rate and a significant increase in customer satisfaction. Imagine that happening at the DVA. Drastically reduced wait times and happier veterans.
That would be a game changer. What about the other case studies?
Another one focused on streamlining ndis and voice processing with AI. This is a great example of how technology can be applied to a complex government system with tangible results.
So it's not just pie-in-the-sky thinking, it's actually being done.
Exactly. And the third case study involved a dental clinic that managed to slash wait times by 40%, thanks to a better triage system.
Yeah.
This shows that the impact can be felt in very real, practical ways.
That's fantastic. These examples prove that the tech exists and that it's already delivering results.
Exactly. It's not about waiting for some future technological breakthrough. The solutions are already here. It's about having the will and the vision to implement them. It really is inspiring to see those success stories. It just goes to show that positive change is possible.
Totally. It's like we've been stuck on this bumpy back road for too long, but now 8Squad's showing us there's a freeway out there, we just need to get on it. And they go beyond just general concepts. They actually get into the nitty-gritty of which tools can make the biggest difference.
Right. One of the most promising areas is using AI for specific tasks. Like, instead of having a DVA caseworker read through mountains of documents, imagine an AI that can summarize the key points, almost like a super smart assistant.
Okay, so the AI wouldn't be making decisions, but it would be helping humans make those decisions more efficiently and hopefully more fairly.
Exactly. It's about augmenting human capability, not replacing it. AI could also be used to analyze those huge data sets of claims and spot patterns that humans might miss. This could help the DVA identify bottlenecks in the system, like common reasons for delays, and then address them proactively.
So it's almost like having a detective on the case, but instead of solving crimes, it's solving bureaucratic puzzles. That's pretty cool.
It is. And think about all those routine tasks that take up so much time for government workers, sending out notifications, scheduling appointments, things like that. 8Squad suggests that these tasks could be largely automated, freeing up staff to focus on the more complex cases that require human interaction and problem-solving skills.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about using technology to take care of the tedious stuff, so that humans can focus on what they do best, connecting with people and finding solutions.
Precisely. But it's crucial to emphasize that this isn't just a technological fix. 8Squad is very clear that technology alone isn't enough. It's about using it thoughtfully to redesign the entire system.
So it's not just about slapping some fancy AI onto a broken process. It's about taking a step back and rethinking the entire journey from the claimant's perspective.
Exactly. It's about creating a system that is both efficient and humane, one that prioritizes the needs and well-being of the people it's meant to serve.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the DVA as a case study, but we mentioned earlier that this is a systemic issue that affects many other areas of government. Can we dive into some other examples for a moment? What about the backlog in aged care? I know that's a huge concern for a lot of people.
Absolutely. 8Squad's white paper points out that aged care is facing a major staffing crisis, leading to those long wait times for essential services. But the same principles we've been discussing could be applied here as well.
So instead of just throwing more money at the problem, which often doesn't actually solve the underlying issues, we could be using technology to make the existing workforce more efficient and effective.
Exactly. Imagine if AI could be used to streamline administrative tasks, freeing up aged care workers to spend more time with residents, providing that care and support they need.
That would make such a difference, both for the residents and the workers who are often stretched so thin. And what about NDIS? That's another area where I know people are struggling with long wait times and bureaucratic hurdles.
The ndis is a perfect example of a system that could benefit immensely from these kinds of digital solutions. 8Squad's Whitepaper actually highlights a case study where AI was used to streamline ndis invoice processing, significantly reducing processing times and errors.
Wow, that's impressive. So it's not just a theoretical possibility, it's actually being done. And I bet those improvements translate into real benefits for people with disabilities who rely on the NDIS.
Absolutely. Faster processing times mean quicker access to those essential services and support, which can make a huge difference in people's lives. And then there's the issue of visa processing delays, which has been a major headache for people trying to immigrate to Australia.
Yeah, I've heard horror stories about people waiting months, even years, for their visa applications to be processed. That kind of uncertainty can be incredibly stressful.
Absolutely. But imagine a system that uses AI to analyze visa applications, flagging potential issues early on and prioritizing those that need urgent attention. This could help to expedite the process for everyone involved.
So instead of everyone being stuck in this giant, slow-moving queue, the system could intelligently identify those who need to be fast-tracked, making the whole process more humane and efficient.
Exactly. And all of these examples point to a larger shift in how we think about government services.
It's about moving away from this reactive, one-size-fits-all approach and towards a more proactive, personalized, and citizen-centric model.
That's a great way to put it. It's about recognizing that people aren't just numbers in the system. They're individuals with unique needs and circumstances.
And technology can play a crucial role in helping us achieve that vision. It's about empowering government agencies to provide better service, improve efficiency, and ultimately make a real difference in people's lives.
But it's important to remember that this isn't just about the government. It's about all of us. It's about citizens demanding better, holding our leaders accountable, and working together to create a future where government services actually serve the people.
You know, that brings us back to 8Squad's key strategy of equity and accessibility. We've talked about how this applies to people with different tech skills, but it also goes beyond that, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Equity and accessibility also means ensuring that these digital solutions are designed to be inclusive of people from diverse backgrounds, with different language abilities, cultural sensitivities, and levels of digital literacy.
So we're talking about things like providing translations, offering support in multiple languages, and designing interfaces that are intuitive and easy to use for people from all walks of life.
Exactly. It's about ensuring that everyone has equal access to these services, regardless of their background or circumstances.
And that's where the concept of a local focus becomes especially important. By working with Australian tech companies, we can ensure that the solutions being developed are tailored to the specific needs of the Australian people.
Exactly. A local focus not only benefits the Australian economy, but also ensures that these digital solutions are culturally sensitive and relevant to the communities they're designed to serve.
It's about creating a system that truly reflects the diversity of Australia and empowers everyone to engage with government services in a way that feels safe, accessible, and respectful.
And I think that's a powerful vision to strive for.
It really is. It's about moving beyond the frustration and despair that so many people feel when dealing with government bureaucracy and creating a system that is genuinely human-centered.
And that's something worth fighting for.
So where does all of this leave us? I mean, we've explored this massive problem of government backlogs, the very real human cost, and some seriously promising solutions. But what's the takeaway for the listener?
Well, I think the most important message here is that these backlogs aren't inevitable. We're not powerless in the face of bureaucratic inefficiency. We have the technology, the expertise, and the resources to create systems that are both efficient and humane.
Yeah, it's like we've just accepted this hurry up and wait mentality for so long that we've kind of forgotten that we can demand better. We deserve a government that works for us, not against us.
Absolutely. And that's where you come in. Citizen voices are so crucial in driving this change. Don't underestimate the power of speaking up, contacting your elected officials, and advocating for these improvements.
Yeah, it's like 8Squad's CEO said in that Sky News Australia interview, these backlogs disproportionately impact the most vulnerable Australians. It's our collective responsibility to make sure everyone has equitable access to the services they need without facing these unnecessary delays and stress.
Right. Imagine a world where interacting with the government feels as smooth as ordering from your favorite online store. What would that mean for your peace of mind?
No more sleepless nights worrying about whether your DVA claim has been lost in some bureaucratic abyss. No more scrambling to find the right form or decipher confusing instructions. No more feeling like you're banging your head against a brick wall.
That's the future we can create. But it requires collective action. It requires demanding better from our leaders and holding them accountable for delivering on that promise of efficient, citizen-centric services.
And it's not just about complaining. It's about being informed and engaged. That's why we encourage you to check out 8Squad's Whitepaper, From Backlog to Front Foot. It's full of insights and real-world examples that show how positive change is possible. You'll find the link in our show notes.
Knowledge is the first step towards change. By understanding the problem and the potential solutions, we can start to demand better and create a future where government services actually serve the people. A future where technology is used to empower, not overwhelm. A future where efficiency and compassion go hand in hand.
We'll leave you with that thought-provoking question. What would it mean for you to have a seamless, stress-free experience when dealing with the government? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, stay curious and keep diving deep.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please share and follow us on social media. Find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube to be the first to listen to our next episode.